Sai Ram Kalyani, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, thank you. Sorry. Sai Ram, everyone. So we are doing the Sandeha Nivarini. 7 chapters. Swami is giving us instructions as to what we should do, the most essential instructions. Swami has started with love, then on truth, and they need to be the foundations on which everything is built. And then Swami is giving step by step. Swami told us what we should avoid in our thought, in our mind, the sins which we commit with our mind, body, and speech. Now he is going on to a bit more detail as to what type of things which should keep us away from, keep our mind away from. That's where we are, and we will continue from where we left off. Sai Ram, Sister Kalyani, you can please read.
Whatever acts a good or bad man may do, the fruits thereof follow him, and will never stop pursuing him. 26. Greed yields only sorrow. Contentment is best. There is no happiness greater than contentment. 27. The mischief-mongering tendency should be plucked out by the roots and thrown off. If allowed to exist, it will undermine life itself. 28. Bear with fortitude both loss and grief. Try and search for plans to achieve joy again. To achieve joy and gain. 29. When you are invaded by anger, practice silence or remember the name of the Lord. Do not remind yourself of things which will inflame the anger more. That will do incalculable harm. 30. From this moment, avoid all bad habits. Do not delay or postpone. They do not contribute the slightest joy.
Okay, Sai Ram, thank you very much, sister. So I think we could go one by one if everyone wishes. The first point which Swami is telling is about the karma. Whatever we do, it's not going to leave us alone. It's going to follow us, birth after birth. And Swami wants us to be aware of that. The second one is, I think as all of us know, it's greed. Lobha is the word which Swami uses. Always gives us sorrow. And he wants us to be contented. Greed is also something where we are craving for something which we may not be able to attain or achieve, and that creates unnecessary sorrow. So I will pause here. Maybe we can just focus on these two before proceeding further. So anyone can share your thoughts, please.
Sai Ram, let me start with this. Before taking up these the passages that we have read now, and I would like to take back to the 23. And last week when we were discussing, we were talking about the sacrifice of your own life, that we have to have a good company. And Brother Sivadas was mentioning as an illustration, as a judge going to the hermitage and wants to have a company of that rishi or whoever it is. And Brother Arun, you were mentioning about these Pragladas, and Kalyani was mentioning about Radha life and the sacrifice of their honor and sacrifice their life itself. But there's another good point here. But be praying to God to bless you with the discrimination needed to distinguish between the good and the bad. So So we have to let God in our life to guide us. We have to be, that's my understanding here. Like most of the time we are thinking we are doing all this. We are not letting the God to come into our life and guide us. So we have to pray, we have to plead to the God to bless us with such of a discrimination. And also on the same passage, you must also endeavor with the intellect. So we also have to do some sadhanas. As a sadhaka, as aspirant, we also have to do some sadhanas. Otherwise, it's not going to work. That's my understanding. Thank you, Sai Ram. Please, I like to have your feedback on this one. Thank you, Sai Ram.
Sai Ram, I will ask anyone else who would like to comment on this, please. So Brother Arul has referred back to one of the previous points which Swami has told us. I don't know. Brother Sivadas, you would like to comment on it, or anyone else? So if no one is commenting, maybe I will say, brother, but I don't know whether I fully answered the question. Others also can chime in. See, the thing is that how Swami is developing, from what I understand. So though Swami has told that there's something essential, Swami also recognizes the fact that it may not be easy to practice. Then he's going on to elaborate what we should do in order that we can practice that. And that's the way I think Swami is developing. See, for example, Swami said you should have love. But then what is love, and then how do we practice? Then he came to truth. That is, we need to have total faith in the truth, that the truth will triumph. Then he goes on to say, for that, if you have yearning for that, you will have the darshan of the Lord. You'll be blessed with that. So that is a fructification. But then he goes on to say, even to practice love and truth, what do we have to do? Then he's pointing out that we have to cleanse our body, mind, and speech. So he says, keep away from this. Then he goes on to say, keep good company. Then he says, to do good company, you need to pray to the Lord for discrimination. So actually, they are all linked, and sometimes we may think which comes before which. And I think each of us can choose what we are able to do. I think that is that's the best thing which we can do. Swami has given so many instructions. One or two which appeals to us, if we can take and fully practice, the others may come through, is what I understand. And they are all interconnected, and we cannot even ignore any one of them, but we can take one of them as primary. That's what I can say. So I don't know whether I answered your question. Brother Arul, you could please let us know.
Thank you, Sai Ram. Thank you. That's fine for me. Thank you.
Okay, Sai. So we will go on to, I think, today, the points which we discussed. I don't know, anyone would like to share anything we have? I think Swami says the karma will always pursue us. If you would like to discuss that, I think that's always a problem for everyone, because if karma is pursuing us, how will we ever escape from that? I think that's the question. But I think what Swami wants us to focus on is what is in our power, which is any new karma which we engage in. I think that's what we have to be conscious. Past is past, as Swami says, we can't do much about it. But at least the present and the future we can take care of. I don't know if there is no one having anything to say, maybe we'll go to the next 2 points. I think Swami says the mischief mongering tendency should be plucked out by the roots and thrown off. If allowed to exist, it will undermine its life itself. I think this question, the translation mischief mongering. So I went to the source. Swami uses the word kutra bhukti. That means any action in us which causes us to have some sense of guilt. It can be some deviousness, some harm, which we may plot and do without others being aware of. He says that should be completely removed. That's what he says in, and not only it doesn't say just removed. He said from the roots, from the root, you have to clip and throw away, and you should keep it always at a distance. I think that's a very big challenging thing, I guess, for us, because it keeps on sprouting back. How much of we throw it away? This tendency to do something bad, maybe nothing very significant, but even little bit, some harm we may intend to do to others, and we may hurt others, we may wish their downfall or something. I think even if it is minor, it can tend to grow one day into a big tree. And I think that's why Swami says just completely root it out. So that's, I think it deals with, I think, the hurt never, as Swami would say. That's what it basically means, from what I understand. I will just open it up for anyone to come.
Sairam. So this is sorry, sister, go ahead. I'll stop.
Brother Arul, you go ahead. I don't know which sister.
Oh, thank you. Okay, thank you, Sairam. So this is the same illustration like when we studied the story, like Rama, when he was small, he was playing and he was throwing a mud to Mandara. That's the reason she was kind of bent down, like sort of things. That I studied that story very long time ago. That's I don't know. That is my understanding. That's a story goes on. That's the revenge she was trying to take against Rama, and she was putting her idea into Kaigeyi's mind to have ask for those what do you call that from Dasaratha, like 2 boons. That's Kaigeyi got 2 boons from Dasaratha, but then this Mandara, she was advising Kaigeyi to use this because to revenge Rama, because that was a mischief thing. When Rama was small, he was playing with the mud and he threw mud on Mandara, and she was taking as a revenge. That sort of an attitude we should root it out.
Okay, thank you very much, brother. Anyone else would like to comment, please?
Sairam, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, because I am using a new device, because of the camera.
Okay.
I am not very comfortable, but still I am just managing. Some people, Baba has said differently regarding this karma, no? So, sometimes he has said that the God can completely remove the bad karmas, and also he has said that that everybody agrees that example is using morphine injection when a pain is when somebody is attacked by a pain and they inject a morphine injection. So though there is pain in that body, but the person does not feel it. So that in that way the God's grace work. And in many other places, he said, no, you have to undergo whatever that you do. So can you combine all these three and give us some wholesome idea? Because even in this, I think in here also somewhere he's saying that oh, if we have made a mistake, repent sincerely and something like that. And I am asking this not for me, but for some some other people who are putting this question always. Brother, you follow
Yes,
what?
yes, so just to repeat, I hope I got what you were saying. You were saying that I think on one side Swami has said Swami will, remove karma. That's one. The second one is he has also said he will make it bearable for you, something like a painkiller.
Yeah.
And then he also says you cannot escape from karma. So
Yeah.
those are the three things, and how do we reconcile those statements? Am I right?
Correct. Perfectly correct.
Yes. So the thing is, I think first of all we all should. Swami has never said karma, the fruits of karma will go away. But the thing is, Swami gives us the opportunity that if we are really striving towards progress, towards spirituality, he will keep the effects of those karmas at bay. That also he has vouchsafed. So that is only if we are. Swami has given a very nice example. Swami says there's a student in the class, and the student is not studying well. And so there was an exam, and the student has written the exam. Now, the teacher would, if the student has not fared well in the exam, the student has to be failed. But if the student, say out of say 100 marks, if the student got something around near 40, then the teacher may say he is sort of coming to the borderline, so I may pass him. I may give him some grace marks so that he will pass the exam. But that does not absolve him of having to learn the subsequent lessons. So the thing is, the karma is like that. So karma, if we are not making any effort, we have to undergo the pain. If we make some effort, then he is going to give us some grace marks, and he will pass us so that we continue our path of learning. But ultimately, once you have learned everything, then we ourselves pass the test, any future tests. So I think karma is like that. So Swami is talking about whatever, as mentioned, Swami always says past is past. So don't worry about the past. How do we rectify the past? And Swami also gives examples of people like Valmiki. See, Valmiki was a highway robber. The amount of harm which he did to people was numerous. But what happened when he came to the company of the four rishis? He was changed, by their influence. That satsangam changed him. Did he have to go through suffering? Maybe he would have had to go through suffering, but I don't think he ever complained. Even the penance which he was supposed to have done, there were ants building anthill over him. So that means he must have suffered. But that suffering did not affect him because he was so focused on the divine. So only through that process, I think he so only by holding on to the feet of the Lord or name of the Lord, I think even though the karmas assail you, you will not be affected. It's like someone who is drowning in the ocean. If he holds on to something, a tree trunk or something, even though the waves may beat him, he will not be swept under. And gradually, by strengthening his hold on the tree, he may be able to escape. So that Swami has given this kind of examples for us. I hope my reply sort of satisfies you, but anyone else can also comment, please.
Sairam. No, as no, the general principles all as you explained, but I think there are much more we don't understand. Especially, I think Swami also has said you can never understand how karma theory works, and don't even try for that. But karma is there. Everything has a consequence. But beyond that, the details how I think he has said that. And how do we explain? There is no limit for how many people, how serious diseases he has cured. Cancer cancelled, he just said that and cured so many people out of cancer and so many other things. So how do we explain that? I think there are, because he knows everything. We don't, we know only very limited. So I think there are so much we don't understand. So I just want to say silence.
Sairam, brother, thank you. Anyone else would like to share something? Okay, brother Sivadas, I hope it's okay. So no, we can't hear you, brother Sivadas. No, brother Sivadas, we can't hear you.
Now you can you now?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, because I'm learning muting and unmuting. Now that's the thing. Okay, thank you. Because so confusing. Yeah, that's very good. Revelation's point is that these God can do anything he likes. So the laws of karma and everything is below him. He created, and that's what he is trying to say. But one thing we know that whatever that we do, we have to pay back in some way or other. In some way or other. Even repenting for days and days and days is also a suffering. So the Baba does not talk to students when students make mistake. So those days and months and the student suffer. So ultimately the student wins the grace of Bhagawan. So anyhow, the suffering has been undergone in a different form. So the things, it looks like that. It looks like that whatever that we do, we have to do something, something to get it removed. Thank you, Sairam. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. So we can proceed. I guess we were on the point where Swami says.
So the mischief mongering tendency should be plucked out by the roots and thrown off. If allowed to exit, it will undermine life itself. So that you were explaining, because I was meddling with this computer, the laptop. So so can you please briefly say what this meant, brother? I don't know.
Okay, so what I said was Swami has used the word kutra buddhi in Telugu. So kutra means some sense, some harm or something wrong which we have done. So the mind, when it plots something wrong, that has a tendency of what's called kutra buddhi. So kutra buddhi is you want to harm somebody with your own intelligence. So that tendency of the mind has to be removed, is what Swami says. So I think kutram is a very Tamil word. I think many people can understand.
Yeah.
In Sanskrit, Swami also uses the word kutila, which is in another point he has said that. I think we discussed that as one of the sins which the mind commits. So anything which, any tendency of anyone who plots the downfall or harm or hurt of somebody else is kutravutti, and that's what has been translated as mischief mongering.
Okay, thank you. But in one of his discourses, I remember this word and the meaning there was somebody was giving fear unnecessarily. Say that now the corona. Say this, if the papers say that the 2/3 of the population will be destroyed. Some news like that. So that is a fear, giving fear, no? That it is so. Is invalid, not varied, not verified information passed on to the person. And this sort of and that time that this word was used in that context. I don't know whether it's correct or not. So it could be, sometimes we put unnecessary fear into the minds of the people. Just making fun of them, you give, oh no, if you drink this you'll get cancer very soon, something like that. So these sort of things should not be done. So is it what brother you were saying is similar to that? Causing unnecessary trouble, causing or invalid, not verified fact in the minds of the people. Is it same or something different?
I think there are different degrees of harm which we inflict, is what I understand. Okay,
Yeah.
so sometimes we may think it's fun. For somebody else it may not be fun.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
and so that's
okay. That's okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
So I just wanted to clarify, and so I was quickly checking. Brother Arul had mentioned about Rama throwing the mud ball or something like that. The way Swami has explained, Swami in 1996 during summer showers, he gave a discourse on Ramayana, in which Swami has mentioned this. Swami says all the brothers were playing ball, and apparently Rama kicked the ball, and then the ball happened to fall. They were just playing among themselves. It was not that Rama was throwing something at her, but when she was playing, Rama kicked the ball, and the ball went and landed on the back of Mantara, who was passing by that way. And apparently everyone else laughed, but not Rama. But Rama did not laugh, but the brothers laughed. But Kaikeyi was upset with that, and she harbored that grudge, and she wanted to get back. And I think that's what Brother Arul was saying. So that's fine. She wanted to harm at some way, and I think that's Kutrabuddhi also. When it grew into something big, and she harmed.
Okay.
So if there's nothing else, then we will no other comments. We will go to the next point. Swami says, bear with fortitude both loss and grief. And he says, try and search for plans to achieve joy and gain. So anyone would like to, I think there's nothing for me to comment there. So anyone would like to comment on it, please?
Which number is that?
Number 28, brother.
28.
Uncle, there's also some comments in the chat box.
Okay, oh, sorry.
Okay.
So it's just a clarification of that Kutra Buddhi. Sitaram says Dushpracharam is, spreading falsehood is one type of Kutra Buddhi.
Oh, yeah. That's what I. Okay. Okay.
Anyone who would like to, you said something, I don't know. Someone was speaking. So Swami says, whenever we face kashta or loss or difficulties, we should hold on to forbearance, and we should. That means we should accept it as is, but we can work towards some effort. We can put in some effort to change the situation. Swami, that's what Swami says here.
Sai Ram, theoretically, it's about number 28. Theoretically, we can say that any loss or grief can be changed into gain or joy. But practically, in my personal view, it's very, very difficult. I know the Swami is telling that, whatever it happened, loss or grief, you change it as, or you accept and move on with joy and gain. But in practical point of view, it's very, very difficult, but only in a very higher level, maybe spiritual aspirant, or it's like a yogi, or closer to maybe the closer to Atmic stage, someone can take that to the equal level, whether the loss or gain, it's same for me. Grief or joy, it's same for me. That sort of stage, to achieve that stage, it's not that easy. We have to really work hard. Even it could be, it could take, 2-3 births, or the 20, 30, the different births to achieve that level. When I look at that, I thought that's my the little point on that one. And theoretically, it's very clear and everything, but in practical point of view, if I have lost someone, definitely I would that grief, I cannot make it joy. If I have unbearable loss, the financial or anything, I cannot easily take it as gain. That's all my point on this one. Thank you, Saira.
Thank you very much, sister. I've just a little clarification. The translation says you need to plan for something for gaining. Okay, that's the translation. I looked at the Telugu version. Swami says, Sukha Dukha Malaku Pirayatninchu Uhalanu. So what he says is, when we are faced with a situation, and a very negative situation, Swami says first we have to have forbearance. That forbearance is not, hoping for something better. Swami, in other places, Swami has said, sometimes we think, okay, I will somehow put up with this, things will change. And so people get frustrated, God is not helping, you lose faith in God, and everything happens because it looks as if it's a very long journey and we are stuck with this problem forever. But Swami says, you make effort and search for thoughts or reasoning, search for them to feel good about it. So that's the way I understand. So in any given situation, generally we feel bad because we look at one aspect. But Swami says you search for a reasoning which will grant you joy. So forbearance is until you start feeling joy about it. We may be, and Swami, there's a very famous story of a minister and a king. Swami has said, the minister used to tell the king, whatever happens, it's for my good, it's for your good, like that. So once when the king was in the forest hunting, he happened to, apparently one of his finger was chopped off. He showed it to his minister, and the minister said, oh, it's for your good. The king was really upset. Okay, and the king put this minister in the jail, locked him up. And then when he was locked him up, he told the minister, you're going to be locked up. He said, it is for my good. The king laughed, this fool will never get better, and he sent him away. And after that, a few weeks down the road, apparently the minister was in the jail. The king went to the forest for a hunting trip, and he strayed away from his troops, and he lost his way, and he was caught by some tribals. And the tribals grabbed him because they wanted to give a human sacrifice to their jungle deity. And apparently they dragged him, and he didn't know what to do because he was overpowered by them. And they took him, and they were about to behead him. And the priest checked his body and said, oh, that fellow is missing a finger, so we can't sacrifice him. Leave him alone, bring me somebody else. So the king was spared. So king walked back tiredly, and then he realized that because he lost his finger, his entire life was saved. So he came back to the palace and apparently released the minister and asked the minister, okay, what you said was true about myself, but I don't know whether what you told about your situation was good or not. Then the minister said, oh, king, that's a bigger blessing for me, because if I was not in the jail, I would have come along with you. They would have caught both of us. They would have released you, but they may have sacrificed me. So I also was spared of that, So what I'm saying is, until we find the reasoning to be happy, we should be content. We should put up with it. We should be having forbearance. So in the case of the king, see, the mantri is the best. The minister was the best example. He had the forbearance when he was locked up in the jail. He didn't say, "Oh, I didn't do anything wrong. Why was I put?" He was having forbearance. And when the real results came, then he was happy. So I think in any situation we should have forbearance until we find the reason to feel happy in that situation. That's the way I understand. But it's as Sister Anand said, maybe it is difficult to come to that state also. I don't know. Others can chime in, please.
Sairam brother, forbearance came in the other study circle too. So just for me to understand it better, I checked the Tamil word is Sahiputtanmai, right? Am I right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, you could say so.
Thank you.
See, the problem with Sahiputtanmai is, Sahikrati means I am somehow putting up with negatively. Okay, but Swami would say this Orpule means Porumai is also, it's a good word. That is not, Sahipu means we can't bear it, but we are somehow bearing it.
Yeah.
But it is a very positive quality.
Yes.
Not that, not hoping that this problem will go away.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think Sahipatana is tolerance.
Tolerance, yeah.
As Arno said, forbearance has much more positive, yeah.
So I think that this will always come to us if we feel that the Lord has done something for our own good. Whatever happens to us, if we feel the Lord has, if you have total faith in God, then we will not complain about anything. Only through that we can really develop forbearance. Otherwise, there's no way in the world we can develop forbearance. When we know that the Lord has our welfare in mind, then we will be able to put up with anything in this world. If we don't have that faith, how much ever we try, we can never develop forbearance. That's my personal view, but others can comment.
Sairam brother, can I read a quick quotation from Sri Sai Baba email I received yesterday?
If it's relevant, you can go ahead, brother.
Sri Baba says, your faith on me has to be bigger than your fears. Remember this, then you are sure to win the challenge that is ahead of you.
Thank you, brother. So I hope if everyone is fine, we can go to the next one. Swami says, when you are invaded by anger, practice silence or remember the name of the Lord. Do not remind yourself of things which inflame the anger. That will do incalculable harm. So I think there's nothing for me to say. I will open it up for anyone to comment on this point, please.
Sairam, here the Swami is saying about practice silence. Silence in the sense that we don't speak back, or that mental silence, or the word. What kind of what Swami is trying to explain here? And the further question on this one is, the silence, is it related to the patience or simply silencing? Patience is a virtue actually, but Swami, he did in quote like a silence is a virtue. But I'm trying to understand more on this. If you could kindly let me know. Thank you, Saira.
Thank you very much, brother. I will open it up for others to comment also. Anyone who would like to share your thoughts, please, on this?
Sairam, brother. I wanted to add one more thing. When you are angry, you have to always think the other side of it. Then you will be always can control your anger. This is the way I look at it. So just sharing. When you get angry, there's another part. You have to think, oh, it could be like this too. So then you can control your anger. That make you silent, to go silent. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you very much, sister. Anyone else?
Sister, could you explain about that other side? Is what do you mean by the other side? Thank you, Sarah.
So, when you think about like a situation, like if your son is doing something like you don't like, then you will feel angry with them, right? So right away when you think, oh, he might be thinking something else and doing that, then always you have to think there is another reason for him to do it. Then you try to understand that point of view, then you always can control your anger. Always think there is another side. So the angry, I think we can control it like that. Always there is another side of it. That's the way I do things. That's what I
I have to ask a further question. The other side you are mentioning, is that something wrong with us when somebody is saying something like which is something other side is something wrong? You have to do introspection for that.
Yeah, you may be sometimes misunderstanding. So most of the time we get angry, we are seeing only one side of it. So always if you keep in mind when you're angry to think the other side of it, then that itself will calm down you and make you to think the other side and work with that. Instead of getting angry, you know that angry is not good. So why you wanted to go to the angry side of it? Try to work on the other side of it to make it calm. So both sides will be compromise and you don't like agree with the situation there. Thank you, Saira.
Thank you, sister.
Okay, anyone else would like to comment, please?
I guess I have a bit of a question, like a practical question. So say that somebody like your partner or your friend is coming and confiding in you about something, say that happens at their workplace that, makes them feel frustrated or angry, like either like people taking advantage of them or just something very frustrating, and they're sharing that with you. And like you may also feel angry on their behalf because of what they're going through. But if you are just silent in that moment and you're not supporting them or helping them vent their feelings, it seems like that you're not being very supportive, and it may not help them feel better. So what can you do in those situations when somebody's coming to you with this, telling you something that's happened to them? Like, how can you be supportive, but at the same time not share in that anger?
Okay, very nice, sister. Good question. I think, again, I will open it up for everyone to comment, please. So sister has given a very practical situation where how do we deal with somebody who has been hurt by anger, or who is hurting, and because of that person has anger?
First of all, when you are hearing a story, Sairam, first of all, you are hearing a story from your friend or anybody else. When the other person is angry, you are not supposed to be angry first. So you shouldn't get everything you have to try to understand where that problems are coming from, and see what way you can help, instead of always you're supposed to hold on to it, and first you have to bring down the anger for the other person also, to think the positive side, what else she can do to make it go down. Like, that's the way I will take it, instead of making more angry or make more angry about that situation, and you also get into that angry mode. Instead of that, you try to understand what's the problem and try to solve it. Thank you, Saira.
Sairam, sister, thank you. Anyone else would like to comment?
Sairam, when someone, it could be family members or anyone, when they tell whatever happened to them, they always, it's a human tendency. They would tell only their side. They wouldn't intentionally or unintentionally, they wouldn't bring the other side. Because as a friend or this partner or the sibling, you have to ask them, what you have done for the other person, or what was the situation it happened. It could be a very specific situation. Maybe the other person, maybe a particular moment or the particular day, it's not a good day for the other person because of other consequences. It could be a family trouble at that side, or it could be a really hard time that person may be going through, as a co-worker or as a the family member. I may not know the full story. Usually it would happen all the families, between the siblings, just like Sister Aruna said, we may not understand the other person is really going through. So even maybe the husband or wife, if telling that that person, my brother has done that to me, that to me, we have to tell them, think about what would be the day or the moment for that person. Maybe other days that person could be a really good person with a really good attitude. Maybe today or that particular moment, it could be not a good day or the exceptional day. As a human, we can make mistakes. If we don't make mistakes, then either we are machines or either we are equivalent to God. So we have to keep in our mind that we have to give some sort of space to understand. In Sister Kalyani's question, I would tell that under what circumstance, if a life partner, I would say to my partner that, first of all, what happened? What did you do to that other person? And then maybe your interpretation, it could be entirely different from the other person. And you may think that whatever you have done it right, that may or may not be the correct decision or correct one. So always think about there would be other side. Just like Sister Aruna said, you have to give some understanding, or you have to if also another good point, if my daughter or son is doing, whether I will forgive that one, or if my mother or father doing, I will take it as easy. Okay, Amma or Appa, they have done it, so I will. I wouldn't take it as a big thing. If other uncle or auntie, if they have told something, I would make it a big thing and blast sometimes. Blast them. So. Before they always the moment it could be very exceptional, or the emotional at the other person's side. That's why even in this corporate world also, they always put a big logo that today is a good day for me. You understand and move on. Even they throw you the very harsh words, don't take it serious. That day is not a good day for that person. Move along, and the next day you ask, hi, how are you, and everything is okay. That's the way, in my humble opinion, it should go. Thank you, Saira.
Iram, sister, thank you.
Saira, brother, one more thing. This angry is come from your senses, okay? If don't blame anybody for your anger, first of all, that's you're angry, you have to control. So when you're angry or when your mind is disturbed, take your time, relax yourself, and that will give you an answer. So angry is your part. The particular person's angry is not come from anybody else, it's from your own senses. The second thing is, I would like to say something in Tamil. There is a proverb, Athra Karanakku Putti Mattima. I don't know that's a good one or not. But because your mind will not work properly when you are angry. So at that point of time, you are not supposed to say anything. You have to remember all this. It's hard to practice. You have to always remember there is another side, it's a positive side. That's the way you can control it. Thank you, Saira.
Thank you very much, sister. Anyone else would like to comment, please?
Just a quick comment, please, Sairam. By now, being spiritual aspirants, we should know, I should know myself, what makes me angry. That's why Swami is saying invaded by anger. Invading is unwillingly or forced to become anger due to a situation. Then we should practice. Of course, we should have patience, like Brother Harold said, patience, and then silence. And then also, if we don't practice patience or silence, we'll be as Swami said, we will do incalculable harm by words and actions. It will be more harm that if we don't practice silence or being patient. So by now we should analyze our self-analysis to see what makes me anger, and then if I get angry due to a situation, we should know how, by Swami's way of doing Namasmarana or thinking of Swami's name or practicing silence or patience. That's the right way. Thank you, Saira.
Sai Ram, brother. Thank you very much. Anyone else?
Sairam, I just noticed another point. Rather than saying harm, that will do, Swami would have told that will do harm. Maybe Swami would have thought that that will do incalculable harm. That means that the whatever you set in anchor, it never ever be repaired by you in future, kind of. Swami simply would have told in any language that will do harm. But Swami said that will do incalculable harm. That means that never ever been repaired by yourself, kind of.
Sai Ram. Thank you, sister. Any other thoughts, please?
I would like to ask a question that when you are dealing with one another person, whether in the family or organization or wherever, when you deal with one or more people, when you are in control, it's so easy to be calm and control your anger, keep silent, because others can shout, but you are going to do your own way. They have no way of controlling you. But when others are more powerful and they have control, it's so difficult to keep silent and calm. So how do you deal in that situation? So, you understand my question, Sahil.
Sai Ram. Thank you. Any comments on what brother has asked?
I have no idea, but brother, question and answer are in one and the same thing. It looks like. So if we are calm and collected, the others, whatever others may say, it will not affect us. That's what the brother is saying. So if we are not calm and collected, when others say something which we don't like, then it hurt. It makes us angry. So the thing is that always practice to be calm and collected.
No, sorry, Brother Shivadas, that's not what my question is.
Yeah.
Say Sister Aruna is the president, regional president. So he has power within in her capacity. So in a meeting, anyone can say anything. She need not counter that or whatever. In an angry way or whatever. But just an example, it came. So because she has full power within her capacity to implement what she is going to do. She can ask opinions. That's a different thing. But you are an ordinary, even in family, same thing. One partner is always dominant, extremely rare. They are both are equal, right? So when one person has more power to do the things in their way, then that person can easily keep quiet, calm, need not shout. But this is what happened even in political situations also, right? Those who are in power, they can do whatever they want. But those who are powerless has to shout and get, they naturally get more angry and aggressive and all that. So my question is, the one who is in control physically, in a mundane level, they can also keep silent. There's no need for them to, but still they do. Many people do, but there's a difference. But those who are powerless, if they keep silent and calm, then they will be, they will be trampled. So in that situation, how can they handle that situation? That's
Brother, I don't know, you better rephrase it.
Yeah, it's okay. So I think so I will just go from the first. I think I will Brother Arul's question. I mean, I have some comments on that. So Brother Arul asked, is it an external silence or internal silence? I think that was Brother Arul's question. I think Swami would say both are needed, because the external silence can only be calmed for a little while if the internal silence is not kept up, or we. So Swami has many times given various techniques. Someone has put it in the chat box. You either drink water or count 1 to 10, leave the place. Things like that Swami has said. Initially, I think we should not open our mouth, because when we are angry, if you open our mouth, incalculable harm will result. Swami said, Amita Hani, that's the word which Swami has used. Means you can't even contain the damage. Okay, incalculable damage. So I think first we have to physically restrain our mouth. Then we have to work on calming our mind and silencing it. I think that's what Swami has addressed this in many places. So that's my understanding. I think Sister Aruna's point was that, other side, which is the other person's perspective, has to be taken. And I think Sister Ananti has very elaborately explained that. Then I will come to Sister Kalyani's question. How do we deal with someone else who is suffering from anger because something has happened to them? I think it is a natural tendency for human beings to show anger, to show the other person that we are supportive. We also may get into the same state of mind. But then what happens is then there are two people need help. So, if somebody slipped and fallen into the water and they're struggling to escape, if we think the only way we have to show support is to jump into the water and we also start drowning, and when both of us will need help. So I think to help somebody, we should realize that the other person is suffering. Maybe that is a valid suffering, or if somebody has done something not so right. But the thing is, we need to help the person first overcome anger before both of you can deal with the harm inflicted by somebody. So I think we should know what our role is, knowing that we should not, by jumping down and into the water and we also drowning, we don't show support. Because that sometimes many people may not understand. Even the person who's drowning may want you to jump in and drown along, but then that person is not thinking clearly. As Sister Aruna said, when you're angry, the buddhi doesn't work. So they may think that is the ideal. So sometimes you may have to bring the anger upon yourself. As Sister Ananti said, try to reason with that person. I'm sure that person is going to get angry with you. But then if you have a very loving relationship, then you can transfer the anger on yourself and then calm the person down because that person loves you. So sometimes even such things are possible. So I think that's what we can do. There is a very famous incident by Krishna. Apparently once Arjuna got angry with Dharmaraja and he was about to hit him. And Krishna came in and he fell at the feet of Arjuna and told him, I am asking forgiveness on behalf of Dharmaraja, or something like that. So everyone can get angry. So that's a human tendency. But Swami says, be silent. Then I will come to Brother Vimalesan's point. When someone is very powerful, they can control anger easily. When you're powerless, anger can become a tool. Yes, that's true. So Swami, during some Bhagawan discourse, one of the discourses he says, Orpileni kopamu. That's the word Swami uses. Anger, which is not strengthened by forbearance, is very harmful. So if you have anger with forbearance, then you can use it very effectively for the benefit of everyone. But if your anger is stemming from lack of forbearance, then that's harmful. So the thing is, even if I am I'm powerless, just because I get angry, like in many protests, it happens, then these people start inflicting harm on everyone else. And they justify that. So that is what happens when you are acting with anger without forbearance. So that is what Swami is saying. If you have anger, if you read it again, Swami says, don't remove the anger. So he says, when you're angry, be silent. So that is basically cultivating forbearance in a situation where there may be valid harm done by somebody and you are immediately angered by it. But Swami says, practice a little bit of forbearance, and then you will be able to calmly decide what is the effective way to rectify the problem. I think that's what Swami wants us to do, because otherwise, if you just react without thinking, without discrimination, we may bring about harm, is what I understand. So those are, I think, those are some of the thoughts which came to my mind while all of you are discussing. Because this is a very practical, important thing which we all of us can try to practice and evaluate how far we are succeeding. I think every day, I'm sure we'll give enough opportunities to test ourselves to see whether we are succeeding in this or not. Overnight, we may not succeed. Great success we may not achieve, but I think we can see ourselves improving. And Swami says, if you cannot do this, just think of the Lord. He has given that last resort was think of me, think of the Lord, and then everything is fine. Maybe we can show the anger on God. He will put up with it, no problem. Sairam. Those are my comments. I will just leave.
Sairam, I just wanted to say one more thing. Whoever has the power, they are the people has to be more patient. They shouldn't have any angry, because that will ruin everything. So whoever has power, the powerless people can have so much angry to show you, for you, the power person, to think and make a good decision. But whoever has the more power, or like a child, if a child is making a mistake, the mother is go more angry. That's the lesson she's teaching to the child. So that's not right. So I always think whoever is holding the higher, the other people has to be most forbearance, and they shouldn't show any angry, always think other side of it. And that's the way I think it's supposed to work. So just adding the one more comment to it. Thank you, Saira.
It's a very good, I am reminded of, I think Swami has in one point said, especially a child comes running apparently, the mother says, don't run, the child runs. And the child has fallen down and hurt itself. The first thing the mothers sometimes do is, after they will give a couple of slaps and says, I told you, why didn't you listen? Without realizing the child is already suffering. Child has fallen down and is suffering. The ideal thing for the parent to do is to tend to the wounds. And once the wound is all tended to and everything is fine, then some explanation or reasoning could be done with the child so that the child learns from the incident. But in spite of that, if just because we are big, if we start slapping the kid, the kid will start hating the parent for life. So these are small situations. Sometimes we don't know how to behave. I think all of us, I don't know. Okay, it's my personal experience. Swami has given this as an example for us to always examine. When somebody has hurt themselves, first tend to their wounds, heal them, and then show you anger. So that's again the same thing. So thank you very much, sister. Any other comments or thoughts about this, please? If not, we will go to the next one. I think we are coming to but 10:15. But there's one more point which Swami has Swami says, from this moment, so he wants, from this moment, avoid all bad habits. Do not delay or postpone. They do not contribute to the slightest way. So Swami does not want us to postpone. He has told all these, and now he gives his master stroke. Do not postpone. There's no point in learning all this if you don't start working on it hard without any delay. So he just the importance of timely action without postponement, Swami is highlighting. So I thought it's very nice of Swami to tell us go away and practice. Okay, that's it. Anyone has any comments, please share your thoughts. Okay, if there are no, I think we have enough to go home and practice, I guess. So many instructions. I think all of them are not only in the spiritual world, even in our worldly life, these are definitely bound to make our life more peaceful, even in the worldly matters, whether it's at home or at workplace. Swami has given very practical lessons, which we can try to apply to the best of our ability. So let's pray to Swami to grant us the discrimination and the strength and the intelligence to practice what his teachings. And we could close for the day. I'll just wait for a few seconds if anyone has anything to say or ask. And then we'll close with Samastaloka and Shant.
Sai Ram, Brother Arno, before we close the session, Swami is saying that from this moment, avoid all bad habits. I realized that Swami was explaining like he was holding a handkerchief and simply letting it out, and then it's that sort of an example, sort of an illustration. He was saying something. But even with that, I know we are trying to get out of those bad habits, but the vasanas that we had is still coming up over and over again. How do we stop all those kind of things? Thank you, Sai Ram.
I will have to figure it out myself, brother, too, before I can answer. But I think the best thing is to think of the Lord. Sometimes when we are failing also, we can think of the Lord. Swami, I am failing so miserably. I don't have any strength, even if we are angry, if we can think of the Lord, he will come and rescue us, is my understanding. So the vasanas can be very, very strong and pull us so badly down and we may just fall. But what else can we do other than just call out to him? That's all I can think of. And hopefully if we practice enough namasmarana or thinking of him, we'll be able to call out to him when we really need him. We really need him when we fall down into any of these vasanas pull us so badly down. It's my understanding, but I will ask any other members who are here to share any thoughts they have. So that's all, brother. I think Swami, you have to reach out to Swami for the answer also, I guess, and hopefully he will give you a satisfactory answer. After all, he's the one who can clear all of our doubts. We will close with Samastaloka and Shanti, 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 and meet again next time. Sai Ram. Om Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.